On live.
In the future, this podcast will have a topic. We're just going to have to figure that out along the way. Hi, welcome to this live podcast experiment thing. And me and my friends are trying different formats to impress people. I'm Dave.
Sorry. Technical difficulties. We're trying new things here.
Well,
so
we are trying new things. That is fair.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. This is Scarfy the Strange. I usually do my magical editing powers to actually edit Exalted Speed videos and even my own videos as well. But due to the current quarantine conditions, I've been unable to record many videos, and therefore I can't edit them. So we're trying a podcast format.
Yeah, we can't be near each other at the moment, so we're trying out this whole thing. I'm gonna post on my Twitter, which is the Exalted Speed Twitter, and we're gonna try and figure this out, and maybe we'll make this more a regular thing. But on occasion, to give you an idea of what I do, if this is your first time joining us, I occasionally play video games on my Let's Play channel, Hal and Dave. And I do Exalted Speed videos, though I hope to up production on, see if we're going to have fun. I'm now going to post this.
Followers do you have?
Yeah, like right now, and most of them aren't my friends at this point, or people I know in real life. So I'm thinking at this, joking aside here, let's go. We're going to try and make this as hopefully not as boring as possible, because I know like some podcasts are very amateur hour, and we're amateur hour ourselves, but we're going to try and keep a loose format and hopefully have some fun with it. So we're going to do our first thing, what we do in the quarantine. We're not a famous podcast, so we don't have musical transitions yet, but maybe one day.
Working on it.
Fair enough. Okay, so what am I doing in the quarantine? Well, like all great people, I was on eBay, and right now on eBay there are Transformers going for really cheap because people need to live and sell. I'm still working, so I actually have a paycheck. So I bought some Transformers. A lot of them from Transformers Animated, and I've been also rewatching that show and enjoying the hell out of it. Mostly because it's like Teen Titans, but Transformers. And it's by the people who also did Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated as well, which is another good cartoon. And actually, have you seen Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, Mike?
Not really. I've seen other Scooby-Doo shows.
I would actually stop and watch that one. You're a Lovecraft fan, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We know you're a Lovecraft fan. At least I do. I think it's worth your time to go into that cartoon, and I'm going to recommend going in blind as possible. But Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, it's one of my favorite cartoons of the last couple decades, and I think you would enjoy it. Ignore the fact that I'm making reference to Lovecraft while talking about Scooby-Doo for a second.
Well, Lovecraft has his tendrils in almost everything, and everyone's did it nowadays.
Well, yes, we all love our Lovecraft. Our Lovecraft stuff, you know.
Well, so far it's been running errands for people. That's pretty much it. I mean,
well,
when I am one of many people
aren't leaving the house, so I've been doing errands for them to make sure that they don't get exposed. You know.
I mean,
you gotta do what you gotta do. But
beyond that, I'm just starting to play video games more. I'm also starting to, well, sort of write more.
Yeah, no, I've been trying to write up. I'm actually gonna focus on writing tomorrow because we are doing we're doing stuff like right now I'm working on like my comic Strange Syndicate with friends. I'm plotting it out because I'm working on an issue called Noir Sunny Side Up.
Wait, what?
Yes, look, I'm not going to give too many details about Strange Syndicate because I want to release it when it actually gets done. But, yeah, Noir Sunny Side Up is the name of the title of the issue so far.
Okay.
I'm doing one of the hallmarks of the comic is I'm gonna do riffs on detective stories and with the character I'm working on, but that's kind of like I said, I don't really want to talk too much about it, especially because I haven't finished up. I've only written the first issue with my friend Ryan Ricifus, and I'm also working on the second issue right now to kind of get it done. But it is what it is.
All right.
So, oh,
Oh, never
Black
mind.
Sonder.
Can't hear anybody. No.
Hi, how you doing? Sorry, we might have drop-in people on this podcast on occasion because we're doing it with some friends here. Think of it like the sitcom where you see many different characters on occasion.
Something tells me I probably should have created my own Discord for this.
You probably should have. It's too late now.
It works. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Hi, we're recording a podcast right now.
I fixed it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, not
It's
really
fine.
recording, streaming it.
We're streaming.
So
it.
you're live to about 3 people.
Hi. My microphone works after like how many weeks?
Hi, this is hello people. This is Black Sonder. She's an artist. She does stuff on Twitter on occasion. And I guess she's our guest at the moment.
I'm
This-
Discord's official mind turtle.
Sure. We were just talking about general stuff, mostly what we're doing during the apocalypse.
Sounds great. Give me 1 second.
That's fair. She may pop in and out, so hey, it's not just you and I talking. We can have other opinions on this podcast. We're professional. You probably
I'm just
should
waiting
know it that way.
I'm just waiting for Hal to drop in here.
If Hal drops in, oh boy, that's gonna be fun. But we'll get to it when we get to it. We're just gonna have fun with this tonight.
Yeah, we're just goofing
We're not
off.
Professional. This is episode 0. It's the one where we are where we're
Well-
not allowed to be professional at.
So should
So-
I pop out or should I just
Nah,
and
in all
ramble with
seriousness,
you?
if you want.
Well, if you could be amusing, sure, you can just pop in and say something.
if you want to join in on conversations, we'll be streaming for the next hour or so. So if you want to join in and talk about stuff, we're going to talk about some topics. And hey, maybe if you somehow have an opinion, feel free to voice it.
Oh,
Maybe
so
we can
hold
look
on.
at it. Maybe we can.
I'm kidding.
Maybe we can look at something from a different angle. Who knows?
Maybe.
So let's actually get to since you were joining us, what were you during the pandemic? What have you tried to do to get your mind off the fact that we're living in a apocalyptic hell zone right now? What games, comics, art have you done?
And this is for me?
Yeah.
All right. Well, since my birthday was during the pandemic, I got a drawing tablet and have been stuck on that, voluntarily stuck on it ever since.
Fair enough. I can understand that. I've been trying to write, but I've been also working, and I hate my work right now. But it is what it is.
Yeah, well, I wish I could help, honestly, with that.
Oh, it's fine. Honestly, it's good to have friends during this apocalyptic hell times, but it is what it is. And with that, I think we'll move on to general topics we want to discuss. And Mike wanted to discuss, Scarfy wanted to discuss this. I'm going to be making this mistake more times than I'm not, but Scarfy, here is.
Well, let's just say happenings have been happening in the gaming world.
Well, the Last of Us 2 controversy.
Oh boy. It's almost like we have a controversy every year, doesn't it?
There's always a controversy every year. We just forget about it because we're going to be focused on the next controversy.
Yeah, I mean, I had almost forgotten that Sarkeesian even existed until I heard about this. It's like, what the?
you kidding? I forgot she exists until you just mentioned her.
It's like,
I was living a blissful existence until you met.
yeah,
Look, even I'm a woman, and I hate her.
yeah, it's like,
Look,
come on,
I tried. When I first saw her, I saw her video before she got. I saw her videos before she got the hate mob stuff going on, and yeah, but we're not here to talk about her. We're here to talk about The Last of Us. Now,
yeah, The Last of Us.
Now,
which...
I'm going to say this ahead of time. I have no skin in this race. I'm not a Last of Us fan. In fact,
I still have it for the PS4. I just need to play it.
So, I'm very much. I know about it, and if I'm being honest, when I saw it, I was like, oh, okay, let's see what the plot is. Guy has to protect girl in a zombie apocalypse while dealing with his emotions over loss, and he has to protect this girl. Oh, she's the cure to the zombie virus, and he's probably going to have to make a dark choice whether to keep her alive.
Yeah, well, it is a Naughty Dog game, and they're well known for the what's it?
Crash
Uncharted series, and
I was gonna say, didn't they make Crash Bandicoot?
Yeah, they made Crash Bandicoot too.
Yeah,
Jack and Daxter.
But yeah,
thank you, Tim.
Yeah, but nowadays,
Another one of our friends who might drop in on occasion.
But nowadays, they're mostly known for Uncharted and Last of Us, because they're cinematic style games, and they have a very action movie style vibe to them.
I'm not a big fan of the.
And it's a big Sony exclusive. So.
Well, okay. I should probably say I was a big fan of the earlier Naughty Dog titles, like the Jack series, Crash Bandicoot. I liked Uncharted 2. Haven't played 3. I think, from what I can see, Uncharted 2 was the best one, so I don't really feel like I'm missing much at this point.
Well, I guess a blockbuster. I mean, in which case, you might as well watch a Let's Play with a bag of popcorn.
Well, like I said,
That's just called YouTube.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I have no real investment in the story of The Last of Us, but I understand because here's the thing: this does remind me very much of the Mass Effect 3 stuff that happened years back now. Jesus Christ.
Alright, I've never played a Mass Effect game, so other than smashing aliens, what else is there?
Okay.
There is nothing else. That's really the whole game.
Okay, then I might want to play it then.
There's a little more to it than that, I'll be honest.
Just pulp sci-fi type stuff.
It basically, okay, look, it's a 90s science fiction television simulator.
Ooh, okay.
Look,
Without Shatner, though.
Yes, without Shatner.
Alright.
Um,
that's for the best, honestly.
Look,
That's not Mass Effect, that's Space Station 13.
A Space Station 13 is just...
Actually, I probably shouldn't have mentioned that. I guess that means I'll get cum in the mailbox.
Look, we're not here to talk about Space Station 13. But okay, the Mass Effect 3 stuff was an interesting time for people for one reason was that game had got its ending. When everybody found out about the ending, all hell broke loose.
Ooh.
Yeah, well...
Yeah, well, to me, this feels like a combination of that and the Game of Thrones leaks. Really.
It actually reminds me a lot about that stuff, too, so...
But yeah.
I guess I'm going to say that...
Although the controversy of what goes on behind the scenes is what I find more interesting.
I'm going to talk about this, actually, first. We're going to talk about The Last of Us 2, and we might mention spoilers about the game if you somehow care about it. Don't listen to this bit. I don't know how long it'll go on, so, maybe you should stop caring right now. I don't know. I don't want you...
Well, to be honest, I'm not that surprised. I mean, they were going down this route for that series for, like, a while now. I mean, The expansion that was a prequel just had Ellie going full on lesbian. The E3 trailer had a lesbianic sniffing scene.
Oh yeah, that was awkward.
I'm like, what the? Okay.
Okay.
What does sniffing your girlfriend have to do with zombie apocalyptica?
Well,
Literally everything. Clearly.
well,
Winning brownie points.
besides the winning of the brownie points, look. My whole thing with this game series is that I always felt like it was trying to emotionally manipulate me. And I never felt, look, I'm okay with emotional manipulation. I occasionally go back and watch The Land Before Time, and that movie is,
Oh, don't hurt me.
I know, right? I know about emotional manipulation in writing, and believe me, it's a topic that I always find it. Like I said, I have no skin in The Last of Us, really, but I will say, I'm not a fan of keeping, like, I believe when you have like a major societal change, you should focus on like what changes, like don't always bring back the old conflicts. Like I guess, like, but okay, let's talk about the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, you're getting awkward about this whole thing.
It is awkward about, look, The Last of Us is a very awkward written.
If you want, I could take that part from here. It's a thing that goes on, that's been going on in our media, not just in gaming, but in comics and movies and TV shows as well. It's mostly because the woke ideology has no great sin attached to it. I mean, you take things like the West. I mean, they got colonization. You take Christianity, they got the whole like Inquisition and Crusade things going on. You take capitalism, you got the whole like greed thing going on. But woke ideology, that's got nothing on it, so that's what gets people obsessed about it.
Well, I think the thing with woke ideology is the idea that for a long time it seemed like we were moving in that direction of a future where, oh, look, we're slowly becoming more accepting and everything. And and I think it's like one of those ideals in like Star Trek. But a lot of people don't know how to handle it or how to make compromise because we're not just living it. We can't just make changes willy-nilly all the time. And people are complex, and people aren't going to just change because you have ideals that are supposedly higher or you're not thinking about them. Plus, I
Not
also
to
think that
mention, people are treating it more like an accomplishment, as if it's something, as if it's a goal that you're supposed to accomplish, as if it hasn't been accomplished already. It's kind of like climbing a mountain. Anyone can climb a mountain many times, but progressing like the first female character in a video game, you can only really do that once. And after that,
The problem with that then is that the character, when you put a title like on that, like with the character, everything that they are is gone, and you're not left with a character. You're left with an idea.
So
yeah, but like I said, you can only do this once. I mean, it's like what happened with the Battlefield game.
I actually have a term for this I like using a little bit better called fashionable activism.
That's a nice term.
I know, right? Basically, people use activism as a way of like a fashion statement, and a fashion statement can sometimes be deeper than just, like you really do believe it. But for most people, fashion statements are temporary and will go out the next Labor Day.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have a lot of young people who might do something because they are friends with somebody or something else, and it kind of just happens. And right now we're kind of at the moment where it's kind of fashionable to be this way, but it's, there's backlash. And I guess we're going to talk about one specific backlash later, but we'll get to that.
But yeah, you remember the controversy with Battlefield 5, right?
Battlefield 5 ticked me the hell off, if I'm being honest.
don't think I heard about that one.
All right, so I'm going to talk as a Jewish man here.
Oh, this is already going in a bad direction.
I
but
know,
it's-
right? Let's talk about this. Okay, so I'm in one of those unique situations that I have a Jewish father who's also a World War II buff.
Oh,
So I grew up with a lot of World War II media, World War II stuff, World War II history.
was he? I don't want to assume ages, but was he in it at all?
No, my dad was born way a bit after, actually.
Oh, okay.
But his dad was a guardsman at the Nuremberg trials.
Oh,
So, hey, that little bit of history. But yeah, no, but no. So World War II is kind of baked a bit into me as a person a little bit. Not intentionally, but my dad was into it, so I kind of gravitated towards it a bit.
that makes
Plus,
sense.
Plus, when your people's history play a huge factor in the stories about it, you kind of end up knowing a lot about it,
Yeah.
So, let me talk about World War II, and this also plays into the idea of fashionable. Look, a lot of people like beating up on the Nazis because they're like the easiest bad guys in the world. I get it.
Yeah.
They were real people, and there's a lot of complexity to World War II. Some people don't understand or realize that's there. Some people were forced into this, and I'm not saying that Nazis didn't do bad things. First of all,
Oh, they did.
oh no, they did. I also
That's
have
quite an
Russian.
understatement when you say it like that too. Is like
I
did some
know.
pretty bad
Look,
things.
I should point out something. I also have Russian ancestry, and I have ancestry that goes back to Belarus. And if you ever want to see a movie that will make you hate the Nazis, come and see. It is one of the most horrifying movies I've ever seen, and it is quite the journey. But a lot of people like beating up on it just because they're easy bad guys, and we want to believe that there's a modern version of them that exists in the world that we can fight. I get it.
How much modern does it get then? Less than 100 years ago, though.
I know, right? And there's some, but a lot of them are. But I also like treating them as pathetic people, and this is coming from me because I feel like when you start hating an entire thing and making that your identity, I find that just sad
This
and
is starting to
pathetic.
sound real familiar.
I personally prefer to think of them as sad, fucked up people, and I don't have to necessarily
Well, to identify yourself by your opposite is to be nothing at all.
basically. I don't believe in. I want to be able to have my own identity without relying on my family history.
Yeah.
But but Battlefield, we were talking about it. I hate it because it's trying to sell itself as a World War II game, yet there's a steampunk blimp in the trailer. There was
The time period already sounds wrong to me.
look, here's the thing. If it was selling itself as an alternate universe,
Oh no.
it didn't. It tried to be this weird, very raw modern history version where we're gonna have the women. And here's the thing.
With the robo-arm woman in the game.
Well, I'm gonna actually talk about
That
this
one dude with the samurai sword.
Yeah, samurai swords in frickin' World War II.
Even though the Japanese were also just as bad as the Nazis during World War II.
To be fair, you can make it look at it
It's
some
just-
guy just grabbing it from a soldier.
And I think the justification for that is that, oh, it's character customization. Oh, so that's how you're gonna appeal to young girls. Make it Barbie dress up. Make it a Barbie dress up game.
I don't Here's the thing: Battlefield is a realistic. Well, okay, it's very much based on that history. And people
It's a
wanna
World
play
War
it.
II battle simulator. That's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, like, and people kind of want to play in that battleground. But if you want to make, like, here's the thing: they sold it as like this weird, unique alternate history thing. Like, I don't know, Wolfenstein. I think it would have done better.
Wolfenstein has done better. I mean, the reason why I bring it up is because they were trying to hype it up as the first game to have representation in it, even though it's been done before in World War II games and much better, aka Wolfenstein with their elite female Nazi characters. Or what else? Call of Duty has done that before, and even better with like the all black tank commando team and the Russian female sniper in there. It's like, which would you prefer, better one or better two? For Christ's sakes, guys, Velvet Assassin wasn't that long ago.
Well, here's
It's like the
thing.
game industry is counting on us to have short memories.
Well, I think one important thing with stuff like this in this case to think about is I always find it like you have to think about it like I was about to say something really profound here, but I'm kind of losing my tongue over it. So, okay, I got it. Look, I think that what's important is to tell real history of real women sometimes, not this imaginary person you make up because you feel, oh, look at me. I made this special, awesome woman who could have existed. I'm like,
Yeah, the mom-daughter special commando team.
that
Actually,
that was insulting bullshit.
God, what the hell are you doing?
Oh god, they didn't really exist.
Yeah. You know what the whole cherry on top of it is, though, Dave?
Yeah.
Battlefield. There was a Battlefield game called Battlefield Heroes that did have female representation in it, because it was a cartoony version of World War II.
Well, I'm gonna point something out here is that they basically Rogue One World War II.
Yeah.
Oh no.
They were like, hey, let's make up this Jyn Erso person and say she took care of the Death Star. Except with real history.
Yeah. So the mom-daughter team instead of this actual Norwegian commando team.
Hello, we are Norwegians.
You guys get some blowout.
But yeah, this is the kind of stuff that just shows that the whole Naughty Dog thing is really just a symptom. But yeah.
No, Naughty Dog. What I find interesting about the Naughty Dog situation and going back to it, and what I think here, I really think it does show how over bloated AAA industry has become to the point that's getting into self parody. So, have you ever seen the skits of Mega 64?
No, I haven't.
No.
Okay, so they made a joke about 4A games, and game companies are thinking about making that a thing years ago beforehand. If you look it up, Mega 64 makes a parody, and it just somehow ends up becoming true. It's more consistent than you think.
Quadruple A games.
Yes, a quadruple A games.
How would that work?
I don't know. A game with a super budget, but the new Modern Warfare game does have 128 gigs.
Yeah, you told me about that.
So you telling me that this could be a game with a Game of Thrones budget?
What
kind of game would that be?
Sonder, I'm going to tell you, most games actually exceed Game of Thrones budget for a season. Like, if you compare some of them, at least the higher end ones.
Okay, please name me a few so I can judge quality.
Let's go with the Uncharted games. They're GTA games are also really fucking expensive.
So basically, the more expensive the game is, the further I can throw my car from a swing set. Got it.
Cool. Yep, you got it right there.
Awesome. That'll be amazing.
But in all seriousness, like with this type of thing, What I find interesting about Naughty Dog right now is that they're in the middle of a lot of weird controversy. On one hand, crunch is becoming more of a topic in the gaming sphere, especially because fans are knowing about it.
Well, that was part of the reason why we ended up getting those leaks in the first place.
Yeah, and they're trying to hide like who leaked it at this point too. And
Yeah, it was
So
a disgruntled employee that was annoyed that he wasn't.
No, it's a disgruntled former employee, a disgruntled non-employee. Like it's been like at this point, it's been kind of like they're making up stuff as they go along. But yeah, a disgruntled employee.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, crunch is a thing that happens in the gaming industry where you're kind of like quote unquote encouraged to stay late after work.
Okay, so
Even sleep in your own office to continue finishing the work at as quick as time as possible.
All right, Mike, let me explain it. It's basically, hey, you have a test tomorrow and you have to get something done and you only have 24 hours, so you're going to stay up and finish that damn thing so you can pass this grade and get out of this fucking college your parents paid for.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Thank you. So crunch, to explain it, is like games have to ship on a deadline. So to get games done, they basically torture people. Like, it's not good. Crunch has been one of the most consistent problems in the industry and just general, like, attitude. And the fact is, it's a whole thing. And a lot of people have written up about it. But crunch culture is getting more and more talked about, especially with these major games and Naughty Dog themselves.
Yeah, Naughty Dog is apparently notorious for it.
Yeah. I don't know how bad it is in comparison, but you know, it's Naughty Dog. It's kind of crazy what's happening over there right now, and just kind of it. But what happened was that a disgruntled employee leaked the entirety of the ending using a dev copy of The Last of Us 2. And the ending is pretty spicy, if I do say so myself.
Care to share, because I only saw the image of what Ellie looks like now.
Okay, so here's what I can understand after doing about 10 minutes of research where I was not paying attention too hard.
All right.
So you have to understand, this is the most accurate.
Grain of salt. Got it.
Yeah, don't take it too seriously. So, alright, here's what we know. One, Joel dies, who is the main protagonist of the last game.
I did know that one.
Okay. And a lot of people were predicting that either way. I was thinking he was going to be like a Fight Club thing.
Oh, okay.
Basically, the entire time, Ellie's just imagining him while she's doing the whole while doing things herself.
That'd be neat.
And then she kills Dumbledore.
Yes, essentially. Yes, of course. You always have to kill Dumbledore.
Especially if he's in Lord of the Rings, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. Thanks.
So during this whole thing, with so Ellie takes over as main protagonist and thus gains protagonist muscles. This is a joke on my end. So Joel is killed by another girl whose name I'm forgetting right now, but we're gonna call her protagonist.
Betty. Call her Betty.
Betty. Fine.
Yay.
We're gonna call her Betty for tonight. I don't care what her actual name is. I'm already working up more care for this than I already used to.
Naughty Dog, name her Betty.
Hashtag Naughty Dog Betty. Anyway.
Oh boy.
Naughty Betty.
Naughty Betty. But okay. So Betty kills Joel, and Ellie's like, "Yo, vengeance time! I am the knight." And I know a couple things. Some stuff got leaked, and I gotta check this out if this is still true. Her girlfriend gets killed by a anti-gay conservative people. Look.
Okay. It's a zombie game. How about just? Oh my god.
I don't even know if zombies are even a factor in the plot.
Are you kidding me?
I have no idea if they are. I don't know.
Oh my god. Did they just pull a J.J. Abrams? Where it turns out you have all this fantastical, supernatural stuff going on, But it's all shoved in the background, and the only thing that really matters is the drama between the characters. Is that what we're seeing here?
Much.
You need a better
That-
balance.
Look, guys. From what I can understand, we're dealing with a series where it's basically has come down to yo, I am Lesbo. Hear me roar.
Oh my god.
Oh, so we're dealing with Batwoman now.
Sure. Why
so
not?
Basically, her entire character has been stripped to an identity rather than a character.
Maybe, I don't know. Look, I have not played the game or seen enough to judge yet, and I'm gonna try and be as fair as possible here, because I have not played it yet, and I have no idea if I would think it's a good story or not playing it. Because video games versus experience a game story without playing it can sometimes be the worst way to experience it.
Well,
I-
to me, it really depends on how much of it betrays her original character from the previous games.
That's fair. I
That's
think
what
that's a
would like. That's my big problem is if they just made her if they just gave her that identity, then that they kept her character and it's just a little side thing, then whatever. But if her entire character is stripped for this is who I am now, then I'm like, look, you
It-
just wasted everything.
I will admit this. It makes me feel a little uncomfortable on some level because the character is very much based on Ellen Page, and I hate the fact that they were like, let's just 100% make Ellen Page a character in this game.
I did not know that.
Yeah, like if you look at her, it's they try to say no, but after her becoming gay, it's like this is just Ellen Page.
Oh, so that's why she's immune to the zombie virus. She's got the gay.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's how Joel died, isn't it?
Yeah, Joel. Okay, but okay, all right. So Ellie decides to go hunting after this girl who killed Joel, and the reason the girl killed Joel was because
He was a man.
he
watch.
killed like this organization she was part of, her family, and so cycle of vengeance, guys. That's the moral of the game, the cycle of vengeance.
Oh, come on. At least give us a fun vengeance story like Dog.
Or Batman, like you could always do
I
Batman.
was making a John Wick joke.
I know.
Yeah.
At least that was fun.
Yeah. So, anyway, vengeance. So she seeks vengeance upon her, and then there's the protagonist switch, where you play as the girl who killed Joel.
What? Why?
Yeah, no. It goes Metal Gear Solid 2.
Okay.
And the final boss is Ellie, where I think the game ends with you either choosing to save her or to kill her.
So wait, you don't play as Ellie?
You only play for her as half of it.
That's still quite a long time.
Yeah. It's kind of shocking to say. In any other game, I would call this a brave narrative decision. But
Yeah, I think they were trying to say something with that move.
Like,
I don't know what they're
let's
trying
compare
to say.
that. Let's compare that to another thing. Imagine if for a portion of the game you played as Tifa in Final Fantasy.
You
That
do
would feel
actually.
You do.
I haven't actually played it. I'll admit my only Final Fantasy games were 10, 15, and I think one more. Something where the screen was really small.
Like,
But I've
there-
never played 7.
There's an entire sequence of the original game where you play as Tifa and you fight the Feminine Fatale in a slapping contest, and it's
It
pretty
is
epic.
amazing.
Well, there, you guys just said it's amazing. So clearly, this can be done correctly. And by the way,
Yeah.
I really do want to play the remake. I just don't think I have enough space left on my PS4.
Well, the way I would have done it is that it would be an RPG where you do some level grinding or some upgrades where you just kind of like build up your character to become stronger and stronger and more powerful to defeat the big bad. Then all of a sudden, all of your upgrades just suddenly take on a life of its own, and then you have to fight a doppelganger of yourself without your upgrades as a big final twist.
If I was gonna do it, I would actually make it a mystery, actually.
Or it's like, or you would have to play as a different character fighting your former character.
There's a lot of interesting ways it could have been done. I'll say this. I think the more interesting story would have been Joel to become the bad guy if they were going to do that story.
But then why
Because
Well, that would take balls.
it would take balls, and I would actually give him credit on that case, because the idea of somebody, like, they were already kind of going down that route of, like, oh yeah, I'm this fucked up individual who will do anything to protect his family.
and like
Like,
even, but then like there's a moral ambiguity to it of he's not the bad guy in his situation, but in someone else's he is, and if you play with that rather than just
the cycle of vengeance.
cycle of vengeance. Yep.
I kind of get it to an extent. It's an interesting idea, and I think it could have been done well. I think they severely underestimated how much people care about the characters.
Didn't it win Game of the Year?
It did win Game of the Year, and I'll admit I found Joel very generic as a character, mostly because I'm like, I've seen this character before. I get what he's about.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of tragic on this case. I really feel like I know what they were trying to go for, but seems. But we'll see what happens. Maybe the gameplay will be good. But
Hi, Nalo. We're talking about the Naughty Dog controversy.
Naughty Dog. Holy crud! We got like a.
Yes, the chat works.
The chat actually works. It's the Naughty Dog controversy. I don't know who this person is.
I do.
Okay. Well,
What's going on?
do I actually know this person?
Probably not. I think I know this guy from Mines.
Okay, fair enough. Good on you for joining us. But okay, so let's actually kind of get into this gear.
But yeah, but yeah. Did we also mention the stuff happening behind the scenes, the crunch?
The crunch. We did mention
we
the
mentioned
crunch.
crunch.
Yeah, we talked about the
let's-
crunch.
Let's actually talk. Well, I think we need to finish it off at the very least. I feel like crunches should not be as bad as it is, or at the very least, a game company needs to treat its employees better. But I actually find something more disgusting than the crunch. How Naughty Dog's supposedly paying their developers.
Oh yeah.
Money.
Well, one of the how Naughty Dog pays an employee is that once a game is out, they get bonus for it. So anytime they work on something, they get more money for it selling well. So if it sells really well, then guess what? High bonus.
But if
Yeah, I think that's part of why it got leaked in the first place. I mean, the guy wasn't gonna get his bonus because it got delayed.
Well, it got delayed, and guess what? Coronavirus. I mean, the big sick.
So he's definitely not getting that money.
This stream is so getting shut down. We just mentioned the Naughty Dog controversy and the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Oh, don't forget what else we were talking about the Battlefield and the other words we were using there.
Yeah.
You're not wrong on that one. Let's avoid mentioning those topics. Maybe they won't notice.
Don't worry, we're
Sunshine,
microscopic
rainbows,
compared to everyone else.
Are we clear now?
Yeah.
Sunshine, rainbows, happy fun times, and don't demonetize.
We're not even monetized.
We're not even monetized.
I don't care. I'm still making the joke.
It's fair. Okay, but the whole thing with not the Naughty Dog stuff is I find that more disgusting in my opinion, because a lot of people were actually planning on stuff like weddings, holidays, and also a lot of people are severely hurt by this whole thing of what's been happening out in the world. So the fact that they're not getting their bonus or anything else, I find that really disgusting.
I agree with that.
Especially because Naughty Dog is a big company at this point. I think you can afford shaving off some money off the executives to get some to the employees.
Yeah, they.
Oh, you know that's not gonna happen.
Oh, I know it's not going to happen. But still. I wonder what people think of my political leanings. It's like, David, you think that look, I'm very much I'm very much a man who believes that if you're gonna do the work, you should get freaking paid for it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Um, and
Shameless plug. I have.
I'm gonna say fucking Naughty Dog for what they're doing with their employees, crunch and everything else. I was very much one of those guys at first who was like, this is gonna be bad for the game industry, and I don't know, like I thought there was I thought like I would be defending Naughty Dog more, but the more I look at it, the more I'm like, fuck Naughty Dog.
Yep.
Yeah. What the hell?
Like, give me a break, pay your damn employees, do something, make sure they're protected, and you're probably going to make more money off The Last of Us 2 than anything else. Well, maybe not anymore since it got leaked because you let a guy named, like, write a plot where it's like, lesbian gets beat up by possibly non-lesbian. As a boss battle, that's a weird boss fight idea.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but I bet you anything Kojima would make it into one.
I would play that game.
Yeah. Like, you know what? I just gotta say, there's some things where I have some problems with it, and then others where I have like no problem. Like the whole Metal Gear 5 controversy with Quiet's design. I'm like, when I first saw it, I was like, you know what? She looks hot. I don't care. But then the reasoning, and I'm like, nah, leave that out. And then I see Near Automata, and they're like, why did you make your characters like this? And the guy who made it's like, well, I just like hot chicks. I'm like, see, respect to you, man. You at least admit it.
I respect the hell out of Yoko Taro for the per he is.
See, like, admit when you're just making a character that's hot for the sake of it. Like, that's pretty much my entire drawing career right now.
Hey, look, honestly, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, but don't try and cover it up and just make a hot chick because you want to.
Yeah, I might have to mute myself for a second, guys. Just be prepared in case I have to do that for a minute.
Okay.
But to kind of get back to it, I want to play the Kojima game with Naughty Fox.
Naughty Fox.
Naughty Fox.
Yes,
That's-
Naughty Fox. Where it's about a lesbian soldier out for vengeance or something like that. Clearly, this is a game that needs to happen.
Oh yeah.
Who is later revealed to be the final boss of the game and has to fight against. We're gonna go with Sunny Station. Her middle name is P, by the way. Sunny P Station, if you will.
I thought you said D for a second, so you were calling her Sunny D Station. I was like, that sounds awesome.
I would love a Sunny D Station, but besides that, and but with all these people going in and the investment in this whole thing,
Forget Kojima. We should get Suda51 to make that.
I would totally be into this. But it's a whole thing at this point, and honestly, what it boils down to with this whole controversy is Naughty Dog can go die in a fire. Give me a sec, guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also speaking of gaming, I've just seen the trailer for the new Assassin's Creed, and I'm wondering if there's any Assassins left in that game series anymore.
You know what though? Like there's the whole thing on their different. I haven't played enough of Odyssey to know if they still go into and have a whole Animus thing or if it's just them in the world. Because I remember, I love Assassin's Creed. I'm still a huge Assassin's Creed fan. I don't care. The bad games to me are meh at worst and fan-friggin-tastic at the best. And I haven't played enough of Odyssey or Origins to get a clear idea of what if the structure is still the same. But
I just think they should drop the assassin name and just continue going on to different settings and different timelines, but in the same universe.
I have returned from the dark dimension.
I mean, it feels like they gave a Viking the knife blade just to tie it to the Assassin's Creed series.
You know what?
Yes.
I'm not even gonna lie. I'm still hyped. I'm like I said, huge Assassin's Creed fan. I will still play it if I have space left on any of my
Look,
devices.
look. The only reason I don't like the Assassin's Creed franchise might be the most petty reason in the world.
Is it because it's still going?
No, actually, it's because I thought the French Revolution game should have been interesting.
Yeah, like, all right, I said earlier that the worst games to me were at worst meh, which to me those are Unity and 3. Thing with Unity is I love world history, and the French Revolution is one of my favorite points of history to study. Like, I don't know what it was when I was in high school. I had this obsession with learning about, it was the French Revolution, there was the 100 Years' War, and a few other random things. But my experience playing Unity is, first of all, it was playing 200 resolution on on the 1920 by 1080. So it was just 200 resolution, which is 200 pixels. It was 200 by 320 stretched. So I can't read a thing. I had to call somebody to help me out and fix it. First thing that happens is the buddy I'm trying to follow, he's like, "Follow me, let's go," and falls straight through the floor. Like, sorry, man, I can't follow you there. So
Yeah, that sounds about right for Ubisoft games.
It's fair enough. I just feel like they made such a big deal about tearing apart American history, and I'm okay with that as a person. And I was hoping they would do the same stuff to the French Revolution, which is, again, one of the most interesting points in history. I'm being honest here.
Oh, I know.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, I'll also admit, still being a big Assassin's Creed fan, Assassin's Creed 3, the best part of that game, to me, was when you're playing as Haytham Kenway.
Okay, fair enough.
That was my favorite part, and I still hated where you had to get the cannon, sneak into the camp, not let anybody see you when it's snowing. Friggin' hated that level. And I still think that playing as Haytham Kenway was more interesting than playing as Connor. I'm sorry.
Connor
was such a boring protagonist.
Connor was a brick, and I
I have
don't
to mute,
know.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. Connor was a brick of a person. I'll say that. Like, especially because one of the things they had was that they had Ezio, who was like a very, yes. We're talking about how, like, falling Connor from Ezio was one of the worst.
Okay. About that. Frigging, who is in Black Flag? Like, who are you actually playing as in Black Flag? Because let me just say right now, Edward Kenway is I'm pretty sure, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm really going on this. Wasn't Edward Kenway, at the end of Black Flag, didn't he go and, like, settle down, had a kid named Haytham, and frigging, if Desmond is supposed to be the ancestor to, is supposed to be, like, the living relative to Altair Ezio, and now Connor, apparently, because I remember playing as him in 3. I remember playing as Desmond in 3. Does that mean that he's also the ancestor to Edward Kenway, since Connor is essentially Edward's grandson?
Yes,
because then it's like, okay, well, now in Black Flag, which I love Black Flag, I just can't steer a ship for crap. But like, you could have done so much with that. But I love Assassin's Creed, but come on, guys. Work with me.
It's a frustrating franchise, apparently.
But I'll just
yeah, and I'm about to place bets as to where it's gonna go next.
Look,
unpopular opinion. I love Syndicate. Unpopular opinion.
Here's an unpopular opinion. I think Ezio is one of the most overrated protagonists in the Assassin's Creed series, and gets way too much development when other characters deserve it more. There's an unpopular opinion.
3 games. I'm kind of the opposite. I still love Ezio, but I will say he had 3 games, whereas I don't know anybody that had even a second one.
Altair.
Other than him, because I remember, was it Brotherhood or Revelation? One of the, I don't care. It's been a while. But no, I meant like, yeah, you know what I mean. Full games on them.
Mm-hmm.
But like, that's like if Edward came back and is like, one last whatever. So he probably did. Look, I'm exhausted. Let me have this, at least one ramble.
All right.
I'm sorry.
But yeah,
To any viewers that
so
are
now we're
still
gonna
stuck, sorry.
so now we're gonna have Assassin's Creed in the Viking Age.
And I'm probably still gonna buy it because I'm a sucker for that sort of thing.
I'm curious as to what era of the Viking history they're going to be. If they're going to include like people, famous Vikings like Eric or Rollo,
They had a time
people
period.
like
Let me look
that.
it up. They specified some time. Hold on.
I mean, it looked like it was around the time where they were just doing raids on English territory.
Oh, so it's when they're invading the Anglo-Saxon and Britain territories.
Yeah.
Set in 873 AD. I knew I saw a number there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just kind of funny because the trailer is portraying the Vikings as all virtuous and misunderstood. Meanwhile, I'm playing Ancestors Legacy and I'm just butchering everything as the Vikings.
Everyone's the villain of someone else's story. Let's be
Yeah.
honest here.
Yeah.
Like, I'll at least give them credit for that. That's like my favorite aspect of storytelling is that everyone is the villain of someone else's story.
It's a fun little thing.
Yeah, I emphasize that when I create my stuff.
But yeah.
I just hope that the game doesn't disappoint.
I heard that you're gonna also have the option of that Odyssey did of male or female character.
I mean, I have no problem with that. I just want the
Neither
game
do
to
I.
be good. I just want the game to be good because I've been burned out by the Assassin's Creed franchise like
Not
for
me.
some time now, and I'm just so tired of it. Also, another thing I would like to see, considering that in the second Assassin's Creed game, they showed off, previous assassins
Oh yeah.
in the statues. You have options there. Why not make those characters as new protagonists in the game? Like you basically established those characters existed.
Oh yeah.
Someone brought that up about Origins, and they're like, okay, so if Bayek was the original assassin, why didn't he have a statue in Assassin's Creed 2?
Yeah, there's even a Chinese dude who was an assassin who was a statue in the freaking Ezio mansion.
I believe the China one was one of the smaller the smaller mini games, like not a mini game, but like one of the smaller titles.
Right, but like they still at least acknowledged that that character, did something.
Yeah, I should probably play those actually.
It just seems like Ubisoft or like companies in general, they have already the established ideas, but now they just like tiptoe around, like using them or whatnot.
Well,
yeah,
I kind of understand that, and as much as like I want to talk about companies and doing and weird stuff, I'm going to talk about a turn in the tide, and this is one of the reasons why Scarfy brought me on tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
We're going to talk about Marvel Comics. Now, for people who don't know, I'm a huge freaking comic book nerd.
Mm-hmm.
I think. And Scarfy wanted to get my opinions on the New Warriors. Now,
oh no.
so I'm going to talk about this because
Yeah.
So I'm one of those guys who's basically read everything at this point.
And I'm gonna put in my 2 cents on their designs when you're done talking about them in general.
Okay, I'm going to talk about the New Warriors for a second. Who are the New Warriors to Marvel? They're basically Marvel's version of the Teen Titans. They're like the Teen Titans to the Justice League. They're the Avengers Teen Titans, essentially. They're the young heroes who are up and coming, made up of teen heroes nobody cared about until they put on a superhero team. And were created mostly out of Spider-Man spin-off characters. Like Nova, one of the main heads of the team, is known for being a 70s Spider-Man riff. Essentially. But let's talk about the They've been very semi-popular. They're not the most popular team out there. They're okay. And I like them a lot. I've read their comics. I enjoy them. Blah, blah, blah. There's a new version out there because their comic has been gone for the last couple. Okay. First of all right. I actually forgot about something. I gotta talk about the most comic booky character in the New Warriors, Night Thrasher. Now you might be asking yourself, what's a Night Thrasher? And I'm glad you all asked. What if Batman had a skateboard?
Please tell me that the Thrasher shirt he wears has Peppa Pig on it.
No.
Then
But
he's
that
not the
should-
best character ever. Then sorry.
Look, I understand, but Night Thrasher is pretty awesome.
Yeah, but he needs one of those bootleg Peppa Pig Thrasher shirts. You've seen those, right?
I've seen those, but
well, now I know what I'll be drawing later.
it's also, but anyway, I like the team. Nova was a personal favorite comic book character of mine. I love Justice and Firestar, Speedball. Oh god, Speedball.
I'm live streaming now, Mom.
Yeah, he's live streaming Speedball. Okay, besides the unfortunate drug reference superhero name, they decided, anyway, the New Warriors are being brought back, and they decided to make new characters for them, and the internet had a collective, ugh. Even the people who were supposedly the audience for it gave a collective, ugh.
Well, yeah, they just spit in the face of the fans.
The only people I've seen who liked it are people who are more shills for Marvel.
I didn't even see anybody that liked it.
Exactly. It's gone. This version of the team has went over like a wet lead balloon full of crap. And I guess we'll go over the design. Let's go over the most controversial ones first. Safe Space and Snowflake.
Oh boy.
Let's talk about Snowflake. They are not technically Marvel's first non-binary hero.
Aha! So once again with the not firsts.
There's technical ones. Cloud from the Defenders back in the 70s, what could switch between male and female at a moment's notice. There's an entire thing with Iceman subplot in there we're not going to go over.
Yeah.
But there's other been characters who have been genderless or non-gendered before in Marvel.
And aliens.
Yes, and aliens. Skrulls are supposedly monogendered in some stories, so take that for what you will. Anyway, Snowflake is kind of one of those things. Her power sheath basically shows shurikens that look like snowflakes.
So as generic as it comes.
It's not generic as it comes, it's just really boring.
But if you got
Do the shurikens melt?
I don't know. This comic hasn't come out.
It's probably for the best.
Anyway, my whole thing with this book has been, we also have a case of character who is, awful. And by awful, I mean, we have, what's his name? Safe Space. Who is a jock with force field powers. Safe Space.
And how funny would it be though if one of their superpowers was like a present mic type of sonic boom, but only when they yelled "re."
I should probably say this right now. I don't think they're the worst of the bunch. There's one who I think is worse.
I already know who it is. Just say it.
Look, I'm just gonna talk about these two. First of all, their costumes sucks.
Mm-hmm.
They look like they look like preppies you want to get beat up in like a movie. It's like, oh look, I'm Safe Space. I'm so awesome. Like, I hate them. All right. they just don't look cool at all. They look dorky. They look terrible. And
And I want to see a Deadpool crossover with them.
And, like,
honestly,
he just makes fun of them.
Yeah.
these are characters who are going to be the butt of jokes in those comics for years to come.
Gonna be.
There's always it hasn't happened yet because we don't
yeah.
have comics of them yet.
Right.
So, like every generation of Marvel, there's always characters, basically the ones everyone makes fun of in later stories.
Like Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck actually gets a lot of respect from Marvel. He's not really.
Oh, it's just the movie.
Yeah, just the movie. Howard
Never
the
mind.
character is actually considered very innovative book, so he's considered like material you don't usually touch. You know,
Unless you screw up and then end up creating Pixar.
a better example would be the characters called Brute Force, which were these animals in mecha suits fighting crime.
So Overwatch is
Or Matter Eater Lad, or Snowflame.
Matter Eater Lad gets a lot more respect than I would have expected, but the Legion of Substitute Superheroes, High Rock, there's a lot of characters in comics who are basically become the butt of jokes because they're either ill-timed, really dumb, or something. And these basically guys represent the modern version of the ones the fans are going to make fun of, and the comics are going to pick out to be like, hey fans, we know.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the other ones. Who's Reddit Glasses? I forget his name.
It was something having to do with. Hang on. I'm on it.
Are you talking about the vampire guy?
That's being negative.
The guy with super the guy that's got superpowers of the internet, right?
Oh my god.
You mean
Hold
the
on, hold on, hold
discount?
on.
You mean the discount Freakazoid?
Yeah.
Hang on, yeah, I'm looking it up. Hold on, what was his name?
I hate to admit this, but you remember the game of Mutants and Masterminds we played, Dave?
Yeah.
I actually made a character that's just like that. Well, actually better than that, because I actually had a character that was much more useful. But the ability, since I could teleport through the internet as well see everything on the internet. Yeah, that was my character in the Mutants and Masterminds game. He just pops out of an internet device and says, "Don't worry, I'm from the internet."
I'm still looking. How is it so hard? Okay, screen time.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, really? I said it and then I had to pause and I'm like, that's actually his name.
Okay.
Ow, that one hurt.
Yeah.
I just scrolled down and found Dora. Are we gonna talk about her later?
So apparently this guy's main power is that he could see anything on the internet at any time.
Oh, don't forget how he got those powers.
Uh,
Come on, say it. How do you get them?
Experimental internet gas.
Yep.
That's like I said. He's discount Freakazoid.
It's again, this character's gonna just get made fun of for years to come.
This dude, his outfit looks like a Goodwill version of Soldier 76 and Shigo. Not even gonna lie.
yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
There's only one of these that has a kind of cool design, but even then, sorry.
Yeah. So I guess let's talk about it. The other one who I don't like a lot is Trailblazer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nilo says that the lady's mic is slow.
Yeah.
I don't know how to fix that, but alright.
Fine. I don't know what to do. Look.
We just got her mic working too.
Yeah.
Wait. Am I not working? Is my mic not working?
Well, it's described as too slow for some reason. I don't even know what that means.
Not this again. It means that my delivery is too slow.
Oh, you're fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah, like from my end, you sound fine.
Yep. Well, I can hear you, but I don't know.
Oh,
If it goes wrong on the stream, I'll just download it and edit it.
No, you're too low.
Too
What?
low?
Yeah,
Oh.
apparently, like, your volume's too low.
Oh, I thought it said too slow. I'm like, look, I take that personally.
He misspelled it. I checked the chat again.
Look, I've had that problem before where my audio was delayed, so I'd believe it.
Oh, all right.
I've actually had that problem. Well, let's see if I can figure out how to fix that properly.
Damn, autocorrect.
Autocorrect. Here, speaking.
Yeah, yeah, Neil is just adjusting the mic volume in the computer.
Yeah. Oh no, here, hold on.
Makes me wonder how well I sound, or whatever.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure you're fine.
Not
Look,
really
guys.
much else I can do. Everything else seems to be up. I'm just a quiet person.
Mike, if you need to, you can actually increase since you're the one recording it, you can actually increase volume on your computer to make her louder on your end.
Unless I'm already at max.
Just go over her name and you can do that.
Yeah, but I don't want to bring the Discord screen up.
That's fair.
So.
Look.
I'll just try and talk a little louder.
It's fine.
Oh, okay.
Anyway. Anyway, for funsies, okay.
What were we talking about? We were on the internet, guy.
Well, okay.
Trailblazer. David, you wanted to talk about Trailblazer.
Talking about Dora
Somebody was like, let's make Dora the Explorer a superhero, and I want to kill them.
And let's give her a few extra pounds because of inclusion. But here's the problem.
Body positivity, I get it.
Yeah, but when you're a superhero, you need the energy, and you need, like, if you're fat anyway, and you're a superhero, you're gonna burn all of that off. Unless your superpower involves that, like, let's say.
Yeah, unless you're the Blob.
All right, guys. Let me explain Big Bertha.
I already know about her, but please go for it.
Well, for people who might not know about her, her power is that she gets stronger the fatter she is, and she can actually control her body weight.
Yeah, there was a character in One Piece who could do the exact same thing.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Captain Amelia.
I do like making references to One Piece.
But wasn't Captain Amelia the same name from Disney's Treasure
Planet? Yes.
Thank you. Yo, like, alright, off topic, but the Treasure Planet Captain Amelia gave little kid me some serious questions.
Fair enough.
About myself.
I
think we all had at least someone like that.
Yeah. I'm thinking right now. I want to talk about Trailblazer. Actually, what takes me off is that she has a fucking magic backpack that can get anything out of it. And I'm like,
is Dora?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Supposedly, she's Native American instead of being Mexican.
Oh.
Isn't there also like some kind of stereotype that apparently like some Native Americans are like really fat?
I don't know.
I've never heard that stereotype.
I've never seen that stereotype if it exists.
Well, it's because it's because like Central Americans are also considered like Native Americans, and there's the stereotype that Latino women when they get older they get fatter, like sooner than anyone else. I don't know. Maybe this is a stereotype that only I've heard.
And then they start speaking to you in a very sassy Hispanic voice.
I have the most saucy Hispanic voice.
A Latino person told me this stereotype.
And
I was just as confused as you are when I first heard it.
I've never heard that.
Oh yeah, back to Roly Poly the Explorer.
Roly Poly the Explorer is really bad because she's also supposedly like the normal one who's going to get a lot of focus as the main character because it's like, oh, look at this world of superheroes. I don't know where I hate her. I hate her because one, she's gonna have a generic character arc. Because I read her character arc in several other books.
Is she new leader, doesn't know how to be leader, and doesn't know if she can be leader, or is that too complex?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. I don't know anymore. Like, this is one of those things. I'm reading up her story. She's like the normal one of the team who's like, "Oh, look, we should be helping people." And I'm like,
Oh, come on.
Jeez.
See, what interested me more is the superheroes that aren't really the nicest of people, but they're still at least heroes.
yeah.
Like, if you do that right, you got my respect. Like I said, moral ambiguities in superheroes. I love those.
Look, I'm a huge fan. Actually, speaking of which, let's talk about the best one. And even then, I think he's a bit generic. Vampire Boy. Be negative.
Yeah, I already thought of all of them, he's the most visually interesting, but that's sadly not saying too much.
Yeah.
I'll say this: there's only one aspect about him that I dig, and it's mostly for backstory stuff. Because he's connected to the character Morbius, the living vampire. Like he's based on Morbius, which actually makes him a slightly more interesting vampire than the regular vampire boys.
Yeah.
And for some reason, his gloves have dots in his hand, and I can only think that is a reference to the weird suckers Morbius had in the Spider-Man cartoon in the 90s.
Maybe.
Now, I'm going to explain the weird sucker hands for a second, guys, because this is literally the most exciting thing for me. So, you see, Morbius is a vampire, right, guys? We all know what a vampire is.
Yeah.
I assume you know what a vampire is. They bite on people's necks and suck their blood. But when Morbius was adapted to Spider-Man, he couldn't do that. Because it is. Oh, look, it is I can't bite people. It's a Saturday morning cartoon. What do? Well, we can't say blood either. Well, what if he's after plasma? We can say plasma, okay? And we'll give him suckers on his hand to suck out the plasma from people's arms. And honestly, that's more horrifying.
Yeah.
He grabs onto your arms and starts sucking the blood through your arm.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I think there was a Lovecraftian monster like that.
I'd believe it.
Where it just has mouths in its hands and it just uses that to bite you.
Mouths on his. Oh, like that dude from Naruto.
The strangely suckered paws.
Dude, I'm just there are better things, aren't I?
Yeah, that's kind of like what the experience of the New Warriors is.
You just remember better things.
Look, I got excited because suckers on the hands. That is literally the most exciting thing about this team of heroes.
Yeah. And then I just remembered the dude from Naruto, so...
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna be honest, like, these are... I'm
drawing a vampire girl right now. I'm feeling a bit... Ugh.
These are... Yeah.
Anyway, I gotta... Look, I love... As a comic book fan, I know what these characters are going to be. They're going to be the ones who are made fun of because they're heroes chasing on trends. And I figure it's time for a talk about heroes who did this. And talk about how better they are. And some of these are from the 70s and 80s. Let's talk about the Vibe.
Alright.
He is a breakdancer Latino. Breakdancing causes earthquakes. He is better than the New Warriors.
That sounds awesome.
Yes! He was a jerk, but he was kind of entertaining in retrospect.
See, like, sometimes the jerks are fun if they're at least written well.
he's one of those cases of you could see arguably he wasn't, but in retrospect, I think with a little more time, he could have been a great character.
Yeah.
He's
In
definitely a
retro-
good troll character.
With
Look.
with some time, a character
Now,
with some exceptions can be great.
believe it or not, some characters get over this, and we're going to talk about one who escaped this perception: Luke Cage. Luke Cage was seen as very stereotypical at his time and was often made fun of for his goofy yellow shirt and chains. But in retrospect, he did have one of the best Doctor Doom stories of all time, where Doctor Doom stiffed him on $200, and Luke Cage, using his might, stole the Fantastic Four's flying car, went to Latveria, and went up to beat Doctor Doom for $200 after meeting Doctor Doom saying, "Where's my money, honey?"
Yeah, I remember that.
I defend myself that this is one of the top 10 Marvel stories of all time.
And it's fantastic.
Yes. And speaking of being negative, did you know that Dracula had a comic book made by Marvel Comics that lasted at least 70 issues?
I did not.
Yeah, the Tomb of Dracula.
And Tomb of Dracula, in Dracula fought the Silver Surfer. And that is a great comic. Yes, look.
Hold on. Say that title again.
Tomb of Dracula.
He did what to the Silver Surfer?
He fought the Silver Surfer.
I'm freaking deaf. Thank you for saying fought.
Yes. No. He didn't do that.
Being deaf and in need of some good writing here.
Right. Well, I have to admit, Dracula does get around being the public domain character.
Well, yes. But I'm just saying there's a bunch of characters who are often from these earlier times, who are often seen as goofy, who sometimes escape it. I don't imagine some of these characters will. The most I could see is B negative, because since he has a connection to Morbius the Living Vampire, he can always be brought back in some fashion with that connection.
Mm-hmm.
The other ones, they're going to be fodder for a Deadpool comic where one of them is going to die horribly in a scene and it will be hilarious.
Yep.
My bet, experimental internet gas boy.
Yeah, they're probably gonna do some jokes about memes.
Now I usually don't care when C-listers are killed off in a senseless crossover comic for comedy or drama. These ones I'm okay with.
Seems like it would work better if they were.
Honestly, there's a couple of cases of like this. There's a character called the Hornet who I actually did like, who was a hero who had what's the disease where it's often like Walter White's kid had it in Breaking Bad. I'm trying to remember what it's called exactly. It caused stuttering and he had issues. I'm trying to remember.
Don't know.
No.
I'm gonna look up Walter
Clearly
White.
deaf, I'm sorry.
It's fine.
I'm gonna mute. My dogs are going nuts.
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I could hear that.
Yeah, I don't remember what the condition is called.
Cerebral palsy. He was a superhero with cerebral palsy, actually.
Mm.
And he was actually kind of interesting on that one. Somebody actually defended him to me, and I was like, oh, you know what? He probably could have been used better. And honestly, it's kind of cool thinking about this character who has cerebral palsy going out to actually battle.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, there's a lot of interesting characters, but I imagine these characters are going to get made fun of. What's interesting about them is not so much that what their fate is going to be, it's the fact that everybody hated them.
Mm-hmm.
And I am shocked by the level of vitriol of these characters got instantly. People who I thought would have been, defending them didn't. One of the comic YouTubers I'm subscribed to was like, guys, I don't want to be one of those comic gate people, but I hate these characters.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I know.
You know you really screwed up.
I know. When you got the guys who are supposed to be your audience going, guys, we might have gone too far.
What have we?
You
It's
flew too close to the sun.
what was the Jeff Goldblum quote from Jurassic Park?
Life.
You kept thinking about whether or not you could, and you never thought about whether or not you should.
Now you're selling it. You're selling it. You slapped it on a plastic lunchbox.
You're selling it.
Basically, any of his lines can be applied to this.
Yeah.
Oh no, oh wait, we're forgetting one. That's one big pile of shit.
Yeah.
That's one big pile of shit. You see, now that's chaos theory.
So basically, any of Jeff Goldblum's lines in Jurassic Park.
Pretty much can sum up these characters, yeah.
Awesome. Get this in post.
So, anything else you have to say about safe space and whatever?
I can't. Anything I want to say about the New Warrior can basically be summed up as, my god, I might do a more in-depth video on them later to just kind of dig into these whole thing. Because I actually kind of been waiting for the comic before I fully judge it outright. Because you want to know the guy who made it used to work on, like, Late Night with Stephen Colbert?
Wait, really?
What?
Yeah. And now I'm wondering, is this deliberately, like, sabotage? It's like, what the hell happened?
What was he trying to give Stephen Colbert something to talk about?
Maybe.
I'd believe that, honestly.
Hey, boss, I created these stupid superheroes for you to talk about.
Boss,
Can I come back?
We made money, but you just talk about these and we'll make money.
My money.
We've got to get money.
But yeah, no, that's one of the most interesting things about these guys. They were created by Danny Kibblesmith, is the name of the guy.
Jeez.
Yeah, really terrible
Sounds like a
name.
pseudonym.
Sounds like a dog food product.
Sounds like a pseudonym. Like he didn't want to be attached to these because he knew they'd flop.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. The name just makes me think about First Sauna, where he's just a very sad dog. It's like Kibblesmith.
Yeah, but right now, it's been a whole thing. But if I'm going to do something, I'm probably going to talk about them in general. It's going to be an interesting thing. But, you know something, guys? I think this was a great time. A great podcast was had by all.
Alright, closing thoughts on it? Anyone?
My closing thoughts are, I wish I could kick Dan Kibblesmith in the balls for creating something so horrible.
Again, I'm pretty sure it's a pseudonym and he's trying to make money. What if this is where they hide their drug money? Is it into the creation of these? No one would suspect a thing.
You're giving them too much credit.
See, at least I'm giving them a little bit, just so that there can be somebody that's on their side, even in theory.
Yeah.
I don't even think drug dealers would want to have anything to do with this.
Oh no, that's just where it's just where they're hiding the money.
Money would not even want to do anything with this.
Well, where's my money, honey?
And
Yeah.
it's grain free.
There you go. Luke Cage used to bust into their offices and go, "Where's my money, honey?"
Yep.
Okay, but I think this is it for the
Yeah.
first.
And as for my own closing thoughts, there is no rolled up newspaper big enough for Naughty Dog at this point.
Well, you know, Naughty Dog, I think all agree.
Guys, we've come full circle. You just said that the guy's name Kibblesmith sounded like dog food. Meanwhile, we just finished talking about Naughty Dog. We're all coming full circle here.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right.
It's a dog's world out there.
I think it's time we left this podcast on a high note, and maybe we'll do more in the future.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
I would say this is a successful test. Maybe I'll come up with a better way to portray everything.
I think we definitely need to work on the format, or at the very least, make sure we don't have some guests to. Sonder, you're welcome to join us again because you're fun to talk to.
Yay! Thank you.
I know.
Happy to be on and share my thoughts on all this.
Alright. This is Scarfy signing off.
Yeah. All right. All right, Mike. That was fun.
Yeah,
Is the recording done?
I just ended the stream.